And now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
This is your RBLR Rays podcast. I'm your host, Zach Dobb, along with my special guest today, Ben Whitelaw. Ben, so great to have you back on, brother. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How's it going with you? How was your holiday, Christmas, whatever you're celebrating? How was it?
It was really, really good, actually. Spent some time with family. Got to see a Savannah Ghost Pirates minor league hockey game. They're an affiliate of the Florida Panthers. I know we can't say that name on this show, but they're a minor league affiliate of them, and really, really fun game. I've never been to a minor league hockey game or any hockey game before, and I just love all kinds of live sports, but was one of the funnest games I've ever been to. There was like 6 fights. It was a tie game down to the last 3 minutes. The home team won. Super, super fun. So I had a great Christmas. How about you?
Yeah, it was good. I'm just looking up the team because I know they
Savannah
have an
Ghost
awesome logo.
Pirates.
Yeah, that's a
They
really
do
good
have
logo.
They have
That's
incredible
awesome.
logos. They have great, like all their everything. It's like they just built this new arena like in the last couple of years. All the jerseys
Love it.
are like amazing. I really am thinking about getting a jersey at some point.
That's so cool.
My team, there's a team near me, and they play the Ghost Pirates. So now I'm like, well, I got to go next time the Ghost Pirates come. But anyway, that was part of my Christmas. Hopefully, everybody out there that is watching, you had a great Christmas as well, or however you're celebrating the holidays this time of year. We're grateful that you're spending a little bit of time with us, and we got a jam-packed show for you as our present to you. We're going to talk about the Rays making a signing with a very interesting upside to it. We're going to do some player reviews for the outfield, some guys that are all, not only were contributors this year, but are guys that are going to be very important going into next year, all of them. And we're just really glad that you're here to talk with us. If you want to know every single time we go live, do us a huge favor and follow us on all the social medias and follow us, especially subscribe on YouTube. We're getting really, really close to 500 subscribers on YouTube. So thank you guys. We really, really appreciate it. That's something that's coming up hopefully very soon. And we're really, really excited. Thank you all of us. If this is your first time watching the show, thank you. Drop us a like if you enjoy what you're seeing. If you're coming back, thanks for coming back. We've got a full off season full of shows for you, and we're going to get into it today with discussion around Eloy Jimenez signing with the Rays. It's an invite to spring training and a minor league deal for Eloy Jimenez. Not a lot of risk involved in this. Not a lot of expectation, I don't think, but there is obviously, we've seen, if you've watched Eloy at all over the last couple of years, he's had a rough year last year, but he's had some really, really good seasons in his career. Was with the White Sox for the previous 5 seasons, was with White Sox part of last year, Baltimore part of last year, and now he's going to get a shot to get on the Rays roster. Ben, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll never say never, but I don't really expect him to break camp with the team out of spring training unless there's some insane injury or he hits like 20 home runs in spring training.
Right.
The outfield's pretty full. Maybe he would accept an assignment to Durham. Maybe not. I don't think he would, given his age, and he does have like some pedigree, so he could probably go somewhere else if he wanted to, but he's willing to, take the little prove it deal with the Rays, and that's kind of cool. But I don't really expect him to make the team.
Yeah, it's tough because right now when you're looking at the outfield, you're looking at Johnny DeLucas playing center. Josh Lowe is going to be in right. You've got a left field situation with him, with maybe a Richie Palacios, maybe Christopher Morel's playing out there a little bit. So to add another bat in there, and he is definitely bat first. As far as what he brings to the table, he has been above 100 WRC plus the last 5 seasons prior to this one. His high was a 143 WRC plus in 2022, also hit to a 138 WRC plus in 2020. So he's had some years with production there. The question is, he's had some serious injury issues. He's never played more than 122 games. So it's one of those things where there's some power there. There's some, hey, this could work out there, but you've kind of already got a guy like that with Morel, who doesn't have as much of an injury history. So his role is kind of already filled on the team, but it's one of those situations where Who knows? He could come out of camp, surprise everybody. Maybe Morel has a tough start to camp. I don't know, but it definitely feels like it's going to be tough for him to break the roster with all those young guys, kind of jostling around for those spots in the outfield.
Yeah, and I don't really think he's going to play much outfield. He's not very good in the field, so I don't really see a path right now to him playing on the major league roster this season. But like I said, injury could change that.
Yeah.
He's a DH only, so he's got to be what, like 120-ish WRC plus to be like valuable, because
Yes.
he's going to get like that penalty for being a DH only right now. What's his career WRC plus? He's at what, 112? So okay.
112.
So
Yeah.
he has to be better than how he's been in his career, and stay healthy. And then yeah, I mean it's a minor league deal for a reason. So
yeah, it's a minor league deal. And again, like you make a good point that his outfield presence is not going to be strong. So he's looking at a DH role. And if you look at the DH role, that's even more crowded than the outfield is for the Rays. That's going to be a tough area to break into. You got a guy like Aranda that I think really does have some value. He's going to have a tough time getting starts. Mead's going to have a tough time getting starts with some of the guys that are already in front of them. But again, like you talked about, injury. There's potential for that. Belau is always an injury risk. There's there is a scenario where he plays. It's either something. It's one of those where something has either gone really, really wrong or really, really right if he's playing. We'll just put it that way. But it is interesting. It's interesting that the Rays, made this move. Do you have any thoughts of what their thought process might have been making a move like this?
I mean, he's really strong and he hits the ball really hard. Maybe they catch lightning in a bottle, and a couple guys get hurt, so he has a path to like part-time playing time. He really hurts like the flexibility of the roster, because you can't really use the DH as like a rotating spot to get guys off their feet. So like you said, something has to go really, really right for him, or really, 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 really wrong for the team for him to make the roster or play with the Rays in the majors this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think Palacios' injury was kind of a fluke. I don't expect him to be injury prone, but it'd have to be something like Palacios is hurt, Bilau's hurt, maybe Yandy's a little beat up, then maybe he's on the roster, or he's just absolutely crushing it. But I think it'll be interesting to see if the Rays make any other moves like this. The thing that I'm kind of looking out for is right now the backup center fielder is like Jake Mangum is who we're looking at the moment to be backup center fielder. I'm curious to see if they are monitoring anybody or looking at anybody to potentially fill that role on the team, the kind of Manuel Margot role in years past, or the role that Johnny DeLuca played last year, as that fourth outfielder that can play center. Because I don't really want Josh Lowe being your backup center fielder. I don't think that's the best use of his strengths. Although he probably could do it for a game or two. I'd be curious to see. That's kind of when I was expecting them to add somebody for the outfield at some point during the offseason. That's kind of who I was expecting. Just somebody who could play center field if you needed him to, and maybe have some one tool from a hitter's perspective. But it'd be interesting to see if they do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, well, he hasn't played in center. He's been playing in the corner or getting some work in the corner. I don't know if he's actually played there, but Jose Caballero in the Dominican Winter League, he's been playing or getting work in the corner outfield spot. So I would prefer that to Mangum or Mangum. I don't know. But either way, it's like you're looking at like the fourth, fifth outfield spot. Like it's not gonna change the outlook on the team much, like unless you're adding like a five-tool center fielder. Like it's not happening, and I don't nothing would really change or move the needle much, I don't think. So Mangum, Cabby, I prefer Cabby, but it is what it is.
Yeah, since we have you here, I'd love to ask you, what were your thoughts on them moving Siri? So we're kind of talking center field, talking outfield. Were you surprised that they moved Jose Siri?
It seems like he kind of did that to himself.
Yeah,
it is what it is. I hope he does great in New York, wherever he's at. But yeah, you gotta run hard, play hard, stay locked in every at bat, every play. So you have to draw the line somewhere.
It's a tough look to get benched multiple times in a season, ostensibly for effort. Especially at a center field position, and especially, it's just tough. And I think as for fans, you see the talent. The talent is palpable. Whether it's the hit tool, the speed, it's there. It's just a shame that he's not at the moment willing to put in the work and willing to have the focus level to warrant that spot. So hope he does well in his next spot. But I think at the end of the day, I'm excited to see Johnny DeLuca in center. I think he's going to do great. And we're going to talk about Johnny DeLuca in just a minute. But before we get there, we're going to start our player reviews. And the first guy up is Josh Lowe, a guy that I think we had really high expectations for going into the season based off of how well he played in 2023. And injuries just kind of sunk his season. He played 106 games, which, it's a good amount of games. But whenever you get, the injury that he had, it's one of those where almost everybody that I've heard talk about it, they just say that it never goes away throughout a full season. So, I mean, my read on it was the injury never really left him, and he just kind of battled it all season long.
Yeah, it was a hamstring, right? I think.
I thought it was. I thought it was. It was nagging. I forgot. Oh man, I thought it was a. It wasn't a hamstring. It was something else, but I can't remember what it was now. It was like.
Let's see if I can find it.
Hang on, I know.
Just because his brother got traded recently, so like if you just Google Lau MLB, it's like the only thing that comes up is Nate Lowe. Sorry, Josh Lowe, Nate Lowe. Same thing.
Hang on,
yes, I don't know. My computer's being weird, but it was either a hamstring or an oblique. But either way, it's a nagging thing.
It was an oblique. That's what it was. It was an oblique. That's what it was. Oblique.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I remember I watched a couple of years ago an outfielder, a former outfielder, talking about injuries, and he had an oblique, I think, a couple of years previous, and he said that he talking with other MLB guys, obliques are just really hard to fully heal from. So I think that really hurt him all throughout the season, and he still hit to about a 98 WRC plus despite that. So it wasn't the kind of next step into the perennial all-star type of category that we kind of hoped it would be after his season last year. But he's still a very valuable guy, and I don't expect him to have that injury be lagging into this year, and I don't expect him to replicate his performance from this year going into next year.
No, I mean, unless he's hurt again, but I don't think the oblique can last. An injury like that can last this long, so he's probably fine now. I have no concerns about him whatsoever. He's going to be a 4, maybe 5 win player for many years. So, yeah, he's great.
Yeah, and I think it's, in an outfield where we've got some questions about who's going to be, a starter, who's going to be the guy. Can Johnny DeLuca, we're going to talk about him in a minute, can he assume that center field role? Who's going to take left field? To have a right fielder that we have a lot of confidence in is really valuable, and to have him under contract for as long as we do. Really excited to see what he does this year. I think this year is going to be what we hoped last year would be, getting maybe to that 4 to 5 win type of player. Really excited to see. Just kind of unfortunate to have a season so hampered by injuries. If I were to put a grade on him for last season, I'd probably just say like a C+. Injuries kind of killed a season. He clearly wasn't himself when he was back. It's a C+ season for him, but I expect more going forward. If you were going to grade him, what would you put on as a letter grade?
I would just have him resubmit the assignment. It's I'm not going to count that against him if he's hurt the whole time. If the injuries start to become a thing, then maybe that's just part of who he is, but I don't expect that to happen. He's going to be a great right fielder, DeLuca in center, and then Morel in left. That's a really strong outfield group, and you can rotate Palacios in the corners, maybe Cabby depending on what they want to do. I'm excited about this outfield group a lot.
Yeah, and if you're kind of looking at your outfield group, your outfield group of your wardrobe, these are the players that you want to have high performance from. You want to have run scoring potential, excellent defense. This is the top line of your wardrobe. And if you look out there and your rotation is not something that you're happy with, go to shop.rblrsports.com. Use promo code FLAPPY for all the best Tampa Bay inspired merch. 10% off with promo code FLAPPY. We've got the Rowdies, Bucks, Lightning, Rays, and the Sun all there at rblrsports.com. Use promo code FLAPPY, FLAPPY, 10% off your entire order. We are now going to jump from the shop to a guy that I didn't expect to be in the role that he is in now. I expected him to be kind of more the fourth outfielder going forward, but is now kind of in the spotlight because he's going to be the starting center fielder, as far as we can tell, for the Rays in 2025, and that's Johnny DeLuca, a guy coming over from the Dodgers in the big trade of the offseason for Tyler Glasnow, and came over and had some really strong moments for the team. Played in 107 games at the major league level. He also had some injury bug as well. We had kind of the outfield injury bug last season between Palacios, DeLuca, Josh Lowe. And he, the WRC plus is not going to blow you away right now. You're sitting at a 77 WRC plus. The defense is really, really good. And for one, I feel pretty good about seeing this guy move into a center field spot. But what were your thoughts on his first year with the Rays?
Yeah, he looked great. Unfortunate injury out of spring training. I don't remember what he did, but whatever, it started his season a little slow. And yeah, no, he was fantastic. Easily a plus defender out there. He can really go out and get it. A good arm too, which is always nice, even though not super necessary, but like to have it. And yeah, I don't see any reason why he won't be in that like 90 to 100 WRC plus range. He does chase a little bit, but he makes pretty good contact. Quality of contact is not great, but he knows how to make the most of it. Really good base runner too. Yeah, no, I'm really excited for him to get a full season, and I just like how aggressive he is in the box and on the bases. And yeah, he's ready for a full-time center field role for sure.
Yeah, I think he's a guy, do you think he's a guy that could get to 30, 40 steals in a season if he gets on base enough?
Let me see what he did in the minor leagues. Yeah, he could be maybe not 40, but like in that 25, maybe 30. If he's playing like 150 games, I don't see why not.
Do you expect him to play that many? Like we're just gonna throw injury out just for the sake of this discussion. Are we expecting him to start 120, 130 games in center and then maybe play the other 30 or so in left field, maybe?
Who plays center if he's in left field? Because if he's out there, I don't want anybody else in center field.
Well, that's right. That's the conversation.
I
mean, it's Jake Mangum, it's Josh Lowe, it's Jose Caballero, or somebody else that's not currently on the roster. I guess, and maybe this is something I don't know as well. From a center field perspective, like, is it too much to ask someone to play, 150 games in center a year? Although I guess now he's not going to be playing on turf. He'll be playing on grass this year, which helps him, I think, from a durability and a wear and tear standpoint. Running around on grass all season as opposed to running around on the turf. So maybe he can start 140, 145, 150 games in center field without wear and tear being a problem.
Yeah, and if he's out there, you're not going to push him to left field to put Josh Lowe in center or Palacios. No. Like, that's just – and Caballero is going to be strictly corner for sure if he does end up playing in the outfield. So, yeah, no, I fully expect him to, health permitting. But that's the thing with every player. Like, I don't really have any concerns about him, like health wise. So he'll probably get like 100. I'd say 150 games. I know Siri was like 130 last year, but he had some injury and then also some benching stuff. So just stay healthy and he'll be out there that many games pretty easily. And then when he's not out there, when he does need a day off, you can go Josh Lowe. He can play a break glass in case of emergency type of center field, and then hopefully not Palacios, but he could be out there too. But neither come close to the quality of defense that DeLuca provides out there because he's easily plus, maybe double plus.
100%. And I think the other thing that people, if you're watching the show and you're looking at and you're just kind of perusing Josh Lowe's stat page, or excuse me, not Josh Lowe, Johnny DeLuca's stat page, you may be a little skeptical of the offense when you look at last season. Hit to 77 WRC plus. Offensive numbers were not inspiring. But I think when you look back at his history through the minors and even in his time with the Dodgers, he is much closer to a 100, maybe 110 WRC plus type of guy, which from a center fielder, I'm pretty okay with that. If you're giving me plus defense in center field, I'm pretty okay with like a 110 WRC plus or 100 or 110 WRC plus because I think you're providing so much value defensively. I'm okay if you're not lighting the world on fire offensively. I think he's going to be more than sufficient, and I think he can do that. I think he can get to that 100 to 110 WRC plus range from the center field spot. And so I think he's going to more than be capable of doing the job from an offensive and a defensive standpoint.
Well, if he's the average for a center fielder is like 90 to 95 or whatever. So if he's like 110, that's a 5-win player like pretty easily. And if he's playing enough games, he could be a 6. Like that's insane. I'm if he's like 90 to 95, I'm happy because that's going to be all he needs to do. Yeah, no, he's a really great player, and I'm just excited to see how he progresses because he is a former switch hitter, so just being only righty on righty is new for him. Like he can handle lefties, that no problem there. But I think with more reps and experience hitting righty on righty, he could, creep that WRC plus up a little bit. But he already makes great contact rates. I think he just kind of has to, rein in that aggression a little bit.
Yep, and I think it's a great thing for the Rays. As much as it was unfortunate to see a guy like Jose Siri with all that talent go, to give Johnny DeLuca so much time in the offseason to say you're the guy and kind of give him that confidence and let him prepare for the season with that mindset of you're going to start 150 games for us. We're looking to you as that guy. We think you can do it. We think you have the talent. We think you have all the requisite tools to make that happen. And I think I have really high hopes for him this year. If I was going to give him a letter grade for this last year, I'd probably give him, with the injury in mind, it's a good. You made a good point when talking about Josh Lowe. It's almost a resubmit the assignment, but even still, I would give him like a B- for what he did do when he was healthy. The offense wasn't awesome, but he was excellent in from a defense perspective, and he had some really nice moments. He had some when he first came up. After he finally got healthy, his first couple of games, he was red hot. So he had some really nice moments offensively, and you saw what was there. I'm going to give him a B-, and I'm excited to see what he does next year. You want him to resubmit again, or you got a letter grade for him?
No, I think that's fine. It's he filled the role that he needed to fill. He did a great job with it. He was like the fourth outfielder, backup center fielder type guy.
Yeah.
If he was healthy, it probably would have been better, but no, it was fine. It was pretty good. And I'm just looking forward to seeing him in that full-time role. Just hope he stays healthy.
Yep. And the last guy, it is. And it's so funny because the last guy that we're going to talk about today, the reason I grouped all these three together is because they're kind of the same story. It's Richie Palacios. It's a guy that when he came over in the offseason, we weren't really sure what he was going to be able to do. We weren't sure what we were getting. And he just kind of was great whenever he was on the field. He provides a really, really, really good hit tool. Maybe not really, really good, but he provides a good hit tool. He hit to a 101 WRC plus in 92 games, 1.3 F4, has a lot of positional versatility, which the Rays love. He's a guy that he was one steal away from 20 bags stolen in only 92 games. Seems to have a lot of potential and seems like a guy that, because of his positional versatility, is set up for an even bigger role this coming season, and was one of the highlights of this last season, which was kind of a rough one overall. He's just a fun guy to watch. Got a lot of fun energy, and I always enjoyed watching him when he was up to bat.
Yeah, he was fantastic. Really great bat to ball skills. I mean, they're plus. I don't know if I'd say like anything more than that. Yeah, good sound swing decisions, relatively aggressive as well, in the box and on the bases. So really, really great base runner. He seems like a great fourth outfielder type. The
Mhm.
lack of power is going to definitely limit his ceiling, but he has been working on that. He went to Driveline or whatever
Mhm.
last offseason. I don't know if he's doing it this year, but um, yeah, he's just a really great on base guy. I hope he's, hitting first or second in the order in the games that he's playing. He'll probably play against every right-handed pitcher, so he should get,
Mhm.
plenty of time out there. I don't think he will see much time against lefties, but I don't think he's like a full-time starter anyways. I think that's Morel's job to lose in left field. Um, but yeah, Palacios is a great role player, and hopefully he can just, get more playing time this year because he was again another guy that was excellent in the role that he filled last year.
Yep. And I mean, the thing that sticks out when you look at his stat sheet from last year was the 14.2 walk percentage, which I don't know if that's something he'll be able to maintain like in perpetuity going forward. But if he can get anywhere near that level of performance, that is something that's going to get him on a major league roster for a lot of teams. Being able to get on walk 14% of the time, that's pretty good.
Yeah, he doesn't really chase too much. I gotta see how he does like compared to the rest of the league. But I know with two strikes too, he like really locks in. But I'll look into that at some other point, I guess, because that might take me a minute to pull it up. But yeah, he chases better than average, or like yeah, better than average is the right way to say that. So I
Yeah.
think he'll kind of flirt in that like 10 to 12% walk range. I think 14 might be a high watermark, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's, still pretty comfortably in double digits next year.
Yeah, and again, if he's sitting in double digits in a walk from a walk percentage perspective, and like, he's putting to use those good bat and the ball skills, I think he's going to be really valuable whenever he's at the plate. And again, you talked about he's going to end up being probably starting mostly against righties because of his positional versatility. It'll be really easy to fit him into the lineup as opposed to some other guys that have some more trouble, like an Aranda, who you got to kind of find someone to take his to spot away from to get him into the lineup.
Mhm.
He has the ability to maybe spell Morel if Morel doesn't, to give him another, place to start. It will be really interesting. We're going to talk about Morel, and probably not next week, maybe the week after. But he's a guy it's going to be a lot. When we talk about the roster shuffle and the way that the roster is going to take shape for this year, a lot of it's going to come down to whether or not Morel can lock down the starting spot in the outfield and play well enough to earn that. Because if he does play well enough to basically take Randy Rosarena's spot in the lineup and on the team from a placement perspective, being in left field, that solves a lot of problems for this team, and that's definitely the hope with him, and that's what they hope to get out of him.
Yeah, I mean they gave up a lot to get him.
They did.
Paredes was a steep price, but he's fantastic. Um, I'm excited for him. I think he's, a 30 home run type guy pretty easily with that power. Um, yeah, just stay healthy and keep doing what you're doing. I like well, I know we're not talking about Morel too much, but I do like his two strike approach the adjustment he made coming into last season. Um, yeah, he hedged his like strikeout risk a little bit, and I think that makes him a little bit more um dependable. It kind of raises his floor. So yeah, another guy I'm really excited about. I love this outfield group. It's a really, really strong group, and I'm expecting a lot from them this year.
So since we've got him in here at the end, there's been a lot of talk about the outfield. We've talked about it a lot on this show. Um, I have been saying kind of, most of the offseason that I feel like this team needs one more veteran bat to get them over the hump from a production standpoint. This is an outfield group that is very young. They've got a lot of talent. Do you feel like this group, as currently constituted, is good enough to win, 90 games, let's put it this way: if we're looking at an outfield group, they have to play a certain role to get a team to 90 wins. Do you think this outfield group is good enough to get a team to 90 wins playing their roles?
Yeah, it should be above average defensively with what DeLuca and Josh Lowe offer out there. Palacios is pretty good. He can, rotate in. I think he's maybe above average defender in the corner. Um, well, at least he was last year. Morel maybe average at best. And then who's the? Oh yeah, and then if Caballero's out there, it's going to be average at best. So I like the group though, and
Yeah.
yeah, I have no issues with that. The offense should be really strong too. You're looking at maybe like 50, 60 home runs combined between the Morel and Josh Lowe and your corner outfield spots. And
Mm-hmm.
then DeLuca and Palacios, they're going to steal 50 bases. So that's kind of cool.
Yep.
And Josh Lowe will too. I forgot he's an excellent runner. So
He
lots
is.
of
He's a
power, lots of
2020 guy.
speed,
Mm-hmm.
good defense, good defenders out there. They won't have as much ground to cover at the Steinbrenner Field, so we'll see how that
True.
looks. But they should be pretty solid.
Do you think there's any chance that if we're looking at the skill set of these outfielders and we think about Steinbrenner Field, left field is a little bit more difficult to play at Steinbrenner Field because of the size relative to right field, because you can kind of hide somebody in right field because of the short porch. Do you think there's any world in which they move Josh Lowe over to left field and put Morel or Palacios in right to hide them a little bit more, and because we feel a little bit more confident in Josh Lowe's defensive ability?
Maybe. I think it's more about like the opposing lineup and whoever's pitching for the Rays. Like if you got, I mean, I guess a lot of them are kind of like fly ball type guys, but you're gonna want your strongest outfield defenders in opportune places in with
Yeah.
fly ball pitchers. I think having a defender with a strong arm like Morel, he's got a cannon. I think left field at Steinbrenner kind of makes sense for him,
Yeah.
because the throws from right field are going to be a lot shorter, so you don't really need to kind of hide the arm. The
Mm-hmm.
range is going to be what it is. If a ball hits the wall, the ball hits the wall. You can't catch it. If the ball's over the wall, that's fine too. Well, it's not fine, but that's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah, I think just get him consistency in the outfield. Morella's bounced around a lot these last couple of years. Um, I mean, I guess between teams with Chicago and now the Rays, and then and also positionally. So just let him get comfortable in the outfield. Um, I'm looking forward to seeing him in spring training. I think seeing him defensively out there is something to
Yeah.
watch. Um, but yeah, it's they'll mix and match and make it work. But this is pretty comfortably an above average outfield group.
Yeah, I'd agree. As much as like I think that this team could benefit from an additional outfielder, a veteran, or someone that provides already that we know is a known commodity from an offensive perspective to add to this team. I have to say that the potential of this offensive outfield is really, really exciting. And there's a lot of known commodities in what we know they can do. We know they're going to steal a lot of bases, which is going to provide opportunities for guys like Junior, for guys like Belau, for guys like Yandy to capitalize on. I mean, hopefully they'll be capitalizing on each other's opportunities too by getting on base. So there's a lot of potential here. It's going to be a very exciting. I think especially early in the season, it's going to be exciting the whole season. But we're going to be kind of waiting to see what are these guys going to do, how are they going to fit into their roles. It's going to be really exciting to see how they to take advantage of the opportunities they're given. Before I realized we forgot to give Palacios a grade. What would you give Palacios as a letter grade for last year?
Say whatever we gave
B
DeLuca.
minus.
Wait, did we give him a grade? Yeah, but yeah, he was fine in the role he was in. Yeah, I like the skill set, and we know what he's going to provide, and it's just a matter of like just waiting for it to happen. He's going to get on base. We know that. And same with Josh Lowe. We know he's going to hit for power. We know
Mm-hmm.
DeLuca is going to play great defense. Like we know what these guys are giving. We know Morel's going to hit for power as well.
Yep.
Yeah, it's given what we know and like what they could also become. Like if the ball bounces the right way a couple times, like this is a really great group. And yeah, I don't know who that. I mean, I guess they could roll with five outfielders, but I think Cabby might have a shot to be that kind of like fifth outfielder because I do want to. I don't know. I'm kind of just rambling here, but if he can play like a corner and backup shortstop, that would be great. I would appreciate that, but we'll see.
Yeah, because I think when we look at what his value is on the team, I think there's a bit of a clock I think on Cabby on this team, and that clock is the same as the time it's going to take for Carson Williams to be ready. Because I don't think there's a world where Carson Williams and Cabby are on the same team. This doesn't make much sense to me because I think once Carson Williams comes up, then Wall slides into the backup role and Williams starts, and then it's bye-bye Cabby, most likely. Or maybe he could stick around as an additional utility guy. We'll see. He'd be fighting with Palacios for a spot. But for now, I think if he can at least provide, maybe against lefties, he provides a little bit of value in the outfield. If Morel needs a day off his feet, sure, I could see it. I could see a world where it happens. You got to have a backup shortstop somewhere, and Cabby was fine in that role last season, and he started a lot of games because Walls was hurt. But this year, however you might feel about it as a fan watching the Rays, however you might feel about Taylor Walls, he is a starting shortstop, barring Carson Williams really accelerating his development in the next couple of weeks somehow before into spring training. We're looking at Taylor Walls starting, which is not so bad. He's a defensive, savant. So we're going to get that from him. It'll be interesting. I didn't really think about Caballero starting in the outfield, so it'll be interesting to see if the Rays decide to use him that way based on what he's doing in the Winter League.
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't start. He would be an option, essentially. But Taylor Walls, he's got that job on lock. It will be. I mean, he looked like his normal self when he came back from his hip surgery, but it's still hip surgery, so he might have, his expiration date for being an effective defender might have just inched a little bit closer.
Sure.
Because you don't just get healthier over time after having hip surgery. I mean, you feel better in the short term, but yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, Carson is close. They've got a couple other guys too that can play shortstop in the minors, but when Carson's up, you don't really need to worry about having the shortstop because he is going to be the shortstop. He's fantastic. Just needs to get some reps in AAA, and we might see him this year, maybe not. But I'm really excited for him and his development.
Yeah, I mean, is there before we wrap up, is there anybody else? Just I'll love to pick your brain about this. Is there anybody else that you're watching right now whether it's in AAA or AA, that's someone that you think is a little under the radar that might have an impact on the roster in 2025?
Let me look. I'm gonna have to stall while I pull up. I just have to see a list of all the names.
While you're doing that, I want to say thank you again for everybody who's joining us, who's joining us on this holiday weekend. We really appreciate you. If you've enjoyed the show, do us a huge favor and subscribe on YouTube. If you have any thoughts on Eloy Jimenez signing, you think he's going to be an opening day starter, let us know. If you have any thoughts on different grades for Josh Lowe, JDL, or Palacios, throw a comment in there on YouTube or wherever you're watching this from. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to know what you think. So join the conversation for us. We really would love for that to happen. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. Like us if you've enjoyed it. It really, really helps us out. It's free, supports the show. It means a lot to us. Hopefully we can get to 500 subscribers here, maybe before the season starts. That'd be really, really cool. So if you're enjoying what you're watching, check to see if you are subscribed, because sometimes you go there and you think you're subscribed because YouTube will suggest videos that you watch frequently. So sometimes you think you're subscribed and you're not actually subscribed. So do us a favor and check for that. If you want to be subscribed, we'd really love to have you.
Okay, I looked through the all the names. Braden Taylor, he could probably reach the majors this season. I don't think he'll have much of a role, but he's someone that could play if injuries or trades or whatever happened. He's basically a finished product. He's just going to need some reps in AAA against the pitchability guys, but excellent track record in college and mostly in the minor leagues so far. I think Kenny Piper, a catcher in Durham, played in AAA a lot last year. I think he's ready for the majors. So we probably could see him at some point. Paternity leave might make that happen. Who knows? I know Rourt went on it last year, so that's why Rob Brantley got up. I like Kenny Piper a lot. I was really hoping to see him in a full-time role, but they had other plans for that.
But maybe could the thought process be, we kind of talked about this when it happened, could the thought process be Danny Jansen till the All-Star break, trade Danny Jansen, get Kenny Piper reps and some more reps in AAA, Kenny Piper starts the rest of the way after we trade Danny Jansen?
Yeah, I that would be cool. I think they seem to be really attached to Rortvet. Even Driscoll is great. I would like to see a Driscoll and Piper pairing, just kind of split it 50-50. But
Draper.
yeah, other plans happened, I guess.
Other plans happened. Danny Jansen happened. We'll see him in his glasses. Be interested. I'm very interested to see. We could ramble on for another 30 minutes probably, but I'm really interested to see what Danny Jansen does. I really have no feel for how well he's going to play, or how much value he's going to bring. But I am very interested to see what happens. I am. This is by far the most interested I've been in the catcher position in a couple of years. I thought I was interested last year, but then I guess they decided to banish Pinto to the shadow realm. But I'm very interested to see what happens from the catcher position this year.
Yeah, I mean, just I think they're getting ABS in 2026, so it's kind of like the last year where we get to see this beautiful framing art. It's kind of sad. I'm gonna miss it. I really I don't want robot umpires. I'm gonna say it. I don't want it. I like framing. Framing is really cool. It's so boring when you just cookie cutter the whole league by putting in automated balls and strikes. I mean, I understand it's helpful or whatever, but like, yeah, the umpires I think are fine. I don't really care to change it. I like framing too much, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think people think they want it, because I've kind of have gone on a similar journey, I think, to you, where when I first heard about it, I was like, yeah, let's get it in there. Umpires suck. Let's get them out. But the more that I've thought about it, I'm like, I'm gonna miss framing when it's gone. And I think a lot of people don't realize that, because they're gonna see somebody do a great frame job, next year, and it's not gonna matter because the robot said it was out of the strike zone. And I think that there's something that's gonna be lost with that. And I think it's a shame. It's part of what baseball is such a unique sport, and the more that we change it, the more we take away some of those elements. I think people are going to miss it when it's gone.
Yeah, we will never have another Jesus Sucre. Like that just won't happen. Or like what was that? Jeff Mathis.
Jeff Mathis.
Um, oh God, I'm trying to like think of good framers. But yeah, we're not Alex Jackson. We're not
Alex
going to have
Jackson.
guys like that anymore,
Yeah.
who are just excellent framers and they don't do much else, because framing is like such a such a massive part of the game.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just going to change the way people do business. Like teams are going to value like the strong arm bat first catchers who, can call a game well enough to get by. And Dominic Keegan is an excellent hitter, and he's, kind of going to get some time in AAA this year. I don't think he could reach the majors this year. Maybe, maybe not. But I think Piper's just a bit ahead of him in the pecking order.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's the catcher of the future, because he's got a great arm, and he can hit and he can play catcher. So all you really need is a hitter who can play catcher, starting in 2026. And that's what I think Major League catching is going to look like, which it's fine because it's going to be like new fun strategy, but no more Jose Molinas,
no more
Rene Rivera.
And you know what? If we never get another Jose Molina again, I think that's a crying shame. I really do.
Yeah. I think it was 2011, he like on an F WAR per like 500 plate appearance basis, I think he led the league in F WAR because he was such a great framer. And then like Ryan Hannigan, he had like, let me look it up. He had like a WRC plus of like 81 season. And he had like 4 F WAR. It's insane like how much framing can impact the game. And I don't think people care enough to look into that. Yeah, I gave up looking. Fangraphs is being annoying, but anyways, yeah.
2012, Jose Molina, 81 WRC plus, 4 F WAR.
So on a per 500 plate appearance basis, that's what, like 6 or 7, like
because he only played 102 games.
That's an MVP season.
That's an MVP season. He put up, he put up 4 F WAR in 102 games.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's when you're stealing strikes. Yeah, I hate that that's going away.
Yep, it's a part of the game that we won't get back. But you know what? We've got it for this year. So do yourself a favor if you're out there. Watch Catchers this last year. Enjoy the art of framing while it's still around. Like we hope you have enjoyed this episode of RBLR Rays podcast. We appreciate you for joining us. That's going to be our show for today. Thank you, Ben, for coming on, filling in. We always love talking ball with you. And thank everybody who came and enjoyed the show today. Ben, where can they find you? Are you got your Substack that's rolling?
Yeah, I'm probably done posting on that.
Fair enough.
I got bored with it. Going back for my third season with the Rays this season. I guess I need to like confirm. Well, it's confirmed, but yeah, in return for season number 3, so I'm excited
Awesome.
about that. You don't really need to find me anywhere. I've nothing to share or plug. I'm just my opinions are my own. So
there you go. His opinions are his own. Our opinions are our own on this podcast, and so are yours. If you've got opinions you want to share with us, drop a comment. Hit us up on the socials. We'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you all for joining us for another show. We're going to be with you all off season. We'll be back next week with more player reviews. But for now, raise up.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.